Hello and welcome to another mod showcase. I'm currently building my most ambitious load order yet, and so far it's looking and playing great, but you know me, I need to test things out a lot. So whilst I'm doing that, you'll be getting a nice view of what's in my order. The first things in the order that I'd like to show are the city overhauls. The retextures aren't important here, but for the sake of full disclosure, this order is going to be using Clever Chaff all in one collection, but I think you already saw that coming. I'm going to start by explaining that I have three main cities using the vanilla layout. For obvious reasons, Riften. First of all, nothing was quite how I wanted it, and it's already a really cool looking place with enough going on. Plus, let's not risk making those frames worse. I'm also keeping Windhelm and Solitude as vanilla because their layouts are already really good. However, I have it on good authority that Windhelm may have something coming out very soon that I will be throwing into the final product. When it comes to Solitude, I think this is the basis of what I want the cities to look like. But Red Bag has a really nice edit for this city if you're after something a little bit extra. I'm also using JK's interiors here, which I'm actually enjoying immensely. But now for the real changes. I'm going to start with Whiterun. Here I've gone for theWay of the Nords. This mod adds in a bunch of new features. Mini structures down the road, a well structure that covers and completes the area, making it have a nice blend of old and young. This mod also includes one of the nicest tree additions to cities I've come across. But for me, the best part of this mod is the statues around the Gilder Green and up the stairs on the way to Dragon's Reach, which are such high quality. You can have theWay of the Nords for 31 megabytes, which does seem like a lot, but I have fully fallen in love with this mod. It's also compatible with JK's interiors, which I am also using right now. Everywhere I walk in Whiterun is totally refreshed. I'm so happy with this aesthetic, I'll be keeping it on for a while. Just be sure to grab those patches if you're using mods like ELFX. Next up I'm going with Markarth, where I'm using Markarth Origin. This mod is very different from theWay of the Nords in how subtle it is. Markarth remains largely unchanged at the base level, but when you head or look up, you will see a bunch of new additions. I've always been a fan of Markarth and how it looks like a traditional mountain carved city that I'd expect from the Dwemer. A lot of the heavy lifting here is done by Clever Chaff, but Nesbit's edits are doing a wonderful job of showing off the multi-tiered nature of the city. I feel like these tiny edits make the city look like it belongs in Lord of the Rings, and for that reason alone, it's a must-have. I didn't feel the need to change much here. As I've previously stated, Markarth is one of my favourite places in the game, but I'm more than happy to spend out the 250 kilobytes on these additions. You could also use a mod to edit the outside to appear more Dwemer. Whilst I've not done this, theWay of the Dwemer could make this place even more in line with its intended aesthetic. That's all of the main cities done, but I'm going to carry on with the minor ones, starting with Dawnstar. Here I've not made huge edits, instead opting for Dawnstar Defended, which I feel finishes off what was missing from the city in the vanilla game. I love Dawnstar as a wintry port city, but it's never felt like a hold capital. Originally I tried the great city of Dawnstar, but this went too far for me and made traversing the town much more confusing. Dawnstar Defended is much more subtle and adds in defences to the area in the form of a wall and a gate to keep the smaller dangers out of the town. There are also guard towers which guards will use to go on lookout. I love the way that this looks because I'm constantly thinking of zombie plans, but seriously, comment with yours below. Dawnstar Defended makes the town feel like it's recently been thrown into danger, which it quite literally has in the game, so thematically it really suits the narrative. For 400 kilobytes, this is easily the most worthwhile edit here for immersion. Up next I'm heading over to Winterhold. Here I'm spending out a little bit more at 23.2 megabytes, but what I'm using feels extremely worthwhile. The mod in question is Cities of the North Winterhold. This mod adds in a few wreckages from the Great Collapse, but much more than this, it changes the overall building style of the place. They're larger and more Nordic looking, quite like the pieces are made from the ships or something similar. This mod also hasn't touched the college, which makes it fully compatible with the magical college of Winterhold. One of the more notable changes here is locational. The Jarl's house has been moved all the way up the mountain and replaced with a castle, a huge great hall and a new area to search through, making this extra space taken more worthwhile. I'd avoided this mod for size for a while, but after trying multiple things it came out as my favourite. The great city of Winterhold comes in at a close second, but again missed out because of a confusing layout and far too much going on. However, it's a really stable mod, so check it out if you're after larger changes. And now I'm going to move on to Morthal. Finally, I'm using a great cities mod. The great city of Morthal was an easy choice. I've tried a few other mods and they all gave me less and weren't as FPS friendly. I'm really happy with how things look and perform here. We get extra buildings, walkways and clutter, as well as improved bridges and layout, making Morthal feel more like a whole capital, but also making it fit the area it's in without stepping too far outside of the vanilla setup. I'm particularly fond of the entryways over the bridges, and the extra personality given alongside the better defensive layout. And for only 420 kilobytes, it's easy to fit this in. And finally I'm going to deal with Falkreath. First of all, let's remember that like Riften, this can be an FPS nightmare. We're dealing with so much flora that problems can arise, so keep to something a little lighter. For this reason, I went with Kato's Falkreath. This mod comes in at a tiny 670 kilobytes. For this you're getting new clutter, a new layout, nicer looking areas, and just about enough to make the place feel different. Falkreath is a forest town and a bunch of the new work shows this off in such a positive way. The wood and the greenery are so much more pronounced. However, if your game is feeling really stable and strong in a heavy built up area like this, I do suggest checking out the Great Cities of Falkreath. It'll totally rework the town and make it into something more fitting of a whole capital, however it can chew up frames, so be aware of that. Overall, I've tried to make the cities fit the holds they're in, and some needed bigger changes than others. I also had to think about what could slot into most orders without being too heavy or causing problems. Having a rework that keeps the game fresh but running smoothly is so important to me. I'm going to be doing the villages and towns pretty soon too, as my game feels so much better from these small to medium changes. But you are going to have to wait for those. If this has helped, I would really appreciate those likes, comments and subscriptions. I'd also really like to hear what city edits you're using. But for now, have a great day and I hope to see you in the next one.